So I'm going to talk to you about the project that we've given the acronym HITIDER, History and Topography to Improve Decision Making for Estuary Restoration. We all know that the estuaries we work in have undergone huge alterations. Estuaries are considered the most altered habitats on Earth. This is my home estuary here with a harbor. It had aquaculture, part of the reserve was farmed and so on, and this is familiar to all of you. And historical ecology is a great way to look back, look at the evidence of habitat changes and the drivers of change. But what I want to emphasize is that we're not doing this out of nostalgia for the past, but rather because we think it can help us envision the future, that it can help us spur imagination of alternative future landscapes, as Eric Stein said. So again, for my estuary, for instance, the part in blue is what currently has natural tidal exchange and looks healthy, has eelgrass, oysters, kayakers, and so on. The part in gray was part of the historic estuary that Andrea Woolfolk uncovered with her historical ecology sleuthing. It looks like farm fields and ag ditches today. So sort of in a shifting baselines way, if we only tried to save the part in blue, it'd be a lot less. Looking to the past helps us to have the courage to think big in our restoration planning. So our HITIDER approach has two components. One is to look at historical maps as a glimpse into the past and map the habitats then and now as a direct assessment of habitat change within that map footprint. The other is to look at a larger spatial scale across your whole estuary, except for Chesapeake and some of the huge ones, then part of estuary, using indirect evidence of topography and tides to figure out where the estuary probably was in the past, and then compare that to where it is today. And so for all 30 NERRS, Connecticut is participating, we are going to generate 4 maps for each of the 2 approaches: a look at the past, a look at the present, then most importantly, a look at change, and a future-looking identification of restoration options. In terms of products, at the local scale, for each of the 30 NERRS, for each of you, we will create maps that tell the story of change at your estuary. We'll highlight the restoration opportunities, the locations and habitats, together with the point of contact from your reserve. We'll create GIS layers you can use for spatial planning, and training and tools for NERRS staff and partners. So to sort of have a gestalt of what this might look like, stories of change through maps. Here, red is the loss. And then across all 30 of those estuaries, we will create some national products. Of course, a long version scientific publication that summarizes everything we've learned from this. But also some outreach tools and more user-friendly videos or stories of change. And this is your sort of visual behind that. This is Eric Smith's pH analysis, but it gives you the sense of sort of looking at patterns across all the reserves. So what are our goals? Why are we doing this? Like everything all of us do, we're trying to improve conservation and restoration of estuaries. We see this in 2 ways. One is to enhance strategic planning. For instance, detecting currently disconnected parts of the former estuary that could be reconnected in the future, or identifying rare former habitat types that could be restored. And the second is more broadly to build support for restoration, telling these stories that highlight the magnitude of losses and restoration opportunities that are possible as a part of climate change adaptation. So in terms of the end users doing those activities for the strategic planning, we're focusing on coastal decision makers, the people who do sort of spatial strategic planning, resource management, and conservation organizations, funders, permitters, and so on. For the building support, it's the public, community, and to some extent funding organizations too. So that is your little thumbnail portrait of HITIDER. And we look forward to working with every one of your reserves on this.